What's up guys? This is a video that I'm making based on requests from a lot of my followers on Instagram, so let's get straight to it. Now, I've grown my Instagram audience to over 1 million followers over the past few years and gained over 60,000 YouTube subscribers in the past 3 months. Not because I'm the best artist in the world by any means, but because I've kinda learned how to stand out. So in this video, I'm breaking down my 10 steps to becoming iconic as an artist. So if you've ever felt like your work is invisible or forgettable, this one's for you. Step 1 is to find your core obsession. Look at your interests and start picking out ideas, themes, stories, and so on that you want to explore. Don't worry about getting stuck with a particular theme for the rest of your life. Right now, we just need a starting point. Then you don't want to just dabble with it, you need to get obsessed. Fall in love with creating art or simply just working on it. You need to allow yourself to go all in with it. For example, I love creating moody, atmospheric art with lonely characters, and I love creating art in a semi-realistic, semi-animated art style. So I don't hold back, I go into it as much as possible and I give it my all. Now, step number 2 is to get good at something. You need to get good enough at something, just enough that people around can look at it and be interested. Even if it isn't art alone, get good at storytelling or creating content or putting yourself out in front of the camera or any other thing. Remember that a lot of people are just one skill away from being very successful. For example, a lot of good artists lack marketing skills to help them out with social media, or a good cook might fail at opening a restaurant because they lack the management skills. So you either learn those skills or team up with someone who can aid you in that. Now, step number 3 is to tell stories bigger than yourself. What I mean by this is to not limit yourself to just your reality. Being an artist, you don't need to just document your life. You have the ability to create whatever you want. A lot of top artists have their own original characters or personal projects that they are working on continuously. Start setting up your own world with fiction, fantasy, whatever, and don't be afraid to create them. Even if they suck, you can improve them along the way. Just make them exist first. So even if it is a comic that you're making that's based on reality, think about what you can exaggerate to it or add to it to make it different and stand out. Now, a great example for this is just looking at video games. Now, they have the task of trying to make the experience as entertaining as possible for users. Now, in a realistic world, things are awfully spread out and a lot of the interesting elements are kind of hidden away in places. But when it comes to games, they compress towns, landscapes, villages, and try and make everything as entertaining as possible. They try and cramp as much information as they can into each location. And that's the whole point of being a game designer, where you try and design the entertainment for your audience, right? Similarly, as an artist, you can always exaggerate and cramp in as much as you want, and there are no rules to that. So go all out and tell stories that are bigger than yourself. Next is step 4, which is to build relentless volume. You've got to create tons of work, because no one becomes iconic from just creating 10 art pieces. So aim for 1,000. Speed up your cycles of creation, learning, and failing. And failing is super important because every time you do, you end up learning what not to do the next time. And step number 5 is to craft a personal brand ruthlessly. Remember that public memory is short. So whatever you upload today is already forgotten tomorrow. Hence, don't be afraid to create a personal brand and put yourself out there more. I'm actually learning this the hard way because I didn't do this earlier myself. I only put out my art and nothing much about me as a person at all. Now, you don't have to create a fake persona or anything like that. Just focus on slowly getting better and putting yourself out. Here's also where consistency plays a huge role, because out of sight is out of mind. It's never been easier to be forgotten online than in today's world, but it's also never been easier to grow a presence on social media as well. Step number 6 is to be real. There's no point in playing it safe with your online presence and trying to get everyone to like you. You need to be real about who you are, your interests, your likes and dislikes. You will get haters, that's for sure, but you will also get a ton of people who love you. Now, you don't want everyone to just kinda like you and just be an average presence. Think about what a strong presence is and what you need to do to reach there. If you're generally funny, add in your humor. If you're not, that's perfectly fine as well. You can be all serious and moody, and that's still a strong personality. A lot of this can reflect in your artworks alone, so apply the same to them and be real. Step number 7 is to study your legends. Make a list of all the people you look up to and take the time aside to actually sit down and study them. Look at where they all began and then figure out what made them successful. Look at the traits they have and single out the core things that led to that success. Take what works, then twist it, subvert it, evolve it into something that only you could create. For example, If someone you look up to just records time lapses and voiceovers for their videos, there's no reason why it can't work for you. But study how they script their videos, how much time they spend on each point, how they edit their videos together. Do they use bold captions or sound effects or anything else that you can notice? Okay, similarly, think about what you can bring to the table that is uniquely yours. Your voice, a color theme, anything. Just experiment and figure it out. Next is step number 8 is to master the long game. So forget about overnight success. Think in years and not months. Now, the longer you stay in the game while consistently evolving yourself, the more inevitable your legacy becomes. For example, when I started uploading long-form YouTube videos this year, I told myself that I would upload 100 videos before deciding if YouTube was for me or not. So if I upload one a week, that's still 2 years of uploading. But just uploading videos is not good enough. I need to try and improve something with every video. So I hope you guys stick with me and let's see how this goes. Another example of this is that it took me 5 years to gain my first 1,000 followers on Instagram. And then within the next year, I hit 100K. So just stick with it, keep trying and evolving, and don't give up. Step number 9 is to build culture, not just content. So you want to make your audience feel like they belong to something bigger, a bigger mindset, a world, a rebellion, an aesthetic, whatever you can put in. This is where having a project larger than yourself plays a big role. So don't think just on the lines of what do I draw today. Start thinking in larger terms on how you can bring value or entertainment to your growing audience. Even if you are a small artist just starting out, I would actually recommend getting really good at art first, but you can join in or form a community of similar artists and build a culture of work, review, feedback, challenges around it. If you want to stand out and be iconic, you need to take charge of something. And finally, step 10 is the 1% rule. Now, if you get stuck and stop improving, you will plateau out and your reach and your engagement and everything will slowly start to thin out. So you need to stay hungry and keep learning. That's where the 1% rule comes in. Now, the 1% rule states that you should make small improvements over these daily aspects in 1% increments instead of trying to make big leaps, because this 1% is going to compound a lot over time instead of relying on large 50% improvements and then burning out and then losing motivation, losing momentum, and then waiting for another burst of inspiration and all of that. Stick to some things that you can do daily that you can try and improve on, right? Now, 1% of an improvement every day does not add up to 100% improvement at the end of 100 days, but instead, if you do the math, it's 170%. It is 2.7 times what you initially started with. But if you stick with it for a year, that is a 37-time improvement, which is quite insane. Now, as an artist, these could mean things such as rearranging your workspace on one day, or spending 20 minutes of learning fundamentals which you normally wouldn't have done, an extra day of anatomy sketching, getting feedback on your work and learning from it, improving the lighting in your videos, adding a bit more story to your next artwork, maybe getting on a call with similar artists to discuss new things that you've learned, or investing in better tools. A lot of these can return way more than just 1% in terms of improvement, but it's the mindset that we kind of have to look at. And the idea is to stay hungry and keep learning consistently. Instead of trying to expect big growth and getting disappointed if you don't improve, 1% a day is quite sustainable and it isn't too much to ask actually. Now, all the best you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go out there and become your own iconic legends. And if you're interested in more lessons like these, you can just get them for free on my Patreon or get all my tutorials, brushes, everything on my Gumroad, and also check out my Instagram. That's where I put up my final artworks and everything. So thank you guys so much for joining in for another video, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below.